All right, so the first topic of, mastery that we want for the end of quarter 3 comes from checkpoint 11, which is in the back of your book. There's a whole bunch of problems that you can try, and I would really highly recommend it. They have all the answers in there too, so you can check, make sure you're doing it right. First thing I want to talk about is you've known what x to a integer number like 5 is, and that just means, x times x times x times x. The other thing you already know, so I'll start with what you know. You already know that when I take x divided by x, that's just 1. You know that if I had x times, and when I say x, I hope you understand, I mean any number. It could be 7 times 7 times 7 times 7 or whatever. It could be any number. But if I multiply, for example, this would be x to the 5th over x to the 4th. You know that each one of those x over x's is just 1. So what ends up happening is 1 times 1 times 1 times 1 times x. Okay, so if I start out, the thing that's kind of new to us is if I have a negative exponent here. And that's the tricky part. So I'm going to explain that using these two concepts that you already know. So let's look at this. X to the 5th, as you know, means you're multiplying whatever that number is by itself, and you're doing that 5 times. Let's just go down by 1. So I'm just going down by 1 on the powers. Here, what's happening, of course, x to the 4th is when I have 4 x's being multiplied by each other. I also want you to notice that essentially what I did was I took that x to the 5th and I divided it by x. So now I just have x to the 4th. And if I go down one more, now I have x to the 3rd. Again, I could also look at that as if I had divided it by x. And x to the 2nd, of course, I'm just going to have x times x, x to the 1st. Okay. And again, if you're looking at this by each time I'm dividing by x, then x to the 0 is clear to see because I just have to divide by x. And x divided by x is the number 1. That means any number, whether it's 7 or 15 or 187, to the 0 power is going to equal 1. But now if I keep going with that, and now I'm still subtracting 1 from that exponent, well, now if I keep going with that, I'm going to take 1 and divide it by x. And sure enough, x to the negative 1 equals 1 over x. So no matter what that number is, this is called the reciprocal function. Because really, all I'm doing is I am flipping x. X over x is normally just over 1. We don't write it that way because it's babyish, but that's what it is. So this is the reciprocal function. It doesn't have anything to do with negative like we're used to it meaning. It just means take the reciprocal. So x to any number to the negative 1 power is 1 over that number. So if I had 15 to the negative 2, that would be 1 over 15 squared. If I had 2/3 to the negative 1, that would just be 3/2. It's a reciprocal function, flipping it. If I had 7/8 to the negative 2, that would be 8/7 to the positive 2. If I had 3/4 to the negative 3rd, that would be the same thing as saying 4/3 to the positive 3rd, or 4 to the 3rd over 3 to the 3rd. If I had just plain old 5 to the negative 7th, that would be like saying 1/5 to the positive 7th, which is 1 to the 7 over 5 to the 7. Whatever that is. So hopefully that helps you with a rational exponent, or with a, negative exponent. See the next video for rational exponent.